Daily. I'm not late. It's 1700 hours. I'm bang on time. Let's go. Holla ballers! I haven't turned the other monitor off. Oh, the fail! The fail! The distractions are present. Oh, as soon as I see myself on the screen, I realize instantly, of course, I have fucked up. But I almost made it. So, bro fist to you all. Oh, yeah, I'm talking to you. Yes, you sexy bastard. I see you there. Put your clothes back on. Making me feel ill, dude. Oh, welcome to you all to the Daily Preach. For this Thursday, this fine Thursday, where I was expected to see some Heart of Fear heroic kills. Of course, it's not out yet. Talk about being behind the times. Not only do I not know it's not December, but I also think Heart of Fear is out already, and it isn't. Heart of Fear heroic, I should say. Oh, welcome to you all. What a shitty day. Let's talk about that quickly. Ben is really ill. My God. My fucking dog. Tell you what, that dog will be the end of me, that stupid dog. We took him to the vets yesterday. I'm starting to disbelieve in veterinary science. Like, Ben has been ill twice in his life. When we got him and rescued him, he nearly died. And at the vets, we had to take him to the vets every single day. And they basically told us he had hours to live on each occasion. Turned out there was nothing wrong with him. He was just malnourished. But they gave us pills. We had to inject him in the mouth with all this stuff. They told us he had this disease where he would fucking die any moment. It was just one of those tragic fucking things. Oh, Heart of Fear Heroic is out. I haven't seen any kills yet. That's weird. And so, yeah, we had all that, and then it turned out he was fine. He just got up, and he was like, oh, okay. No problem. He just got up, and he sprung back into life. He's been fine ever since. But during the fireworks and stuff, he was really, really stressed out, which dogs tend to be with fireworks going off. They believe it's like someone knocking on the house, the big explosion. So he's running around the house, his fur's sticking up. He was very stressed out. Then he got attacked. You remember, I told you, he got attacked. So he'd noticed for the past week or so he'd been kind of off his food. And he was getting a little bit slower, a bit more lethargic. And ultimately, he started sneezing a lot. Dog sneezes are really cute. He's like, like these really ridiculous dog sneezes. So we took him to the vets yesterday, and they said, oh, he must have something probably caught up his nose, or maybe something's irritated him. Take these pills, he'll be fine. So we brought him home, and he didn't eat anything, which is kind of worrying, but like Emma gets really stressed out about this kind of stuff. I was like, he's probably just off his food because of all the stress recently. So this morning we came into his bedroom and he had thrown up everywhere, and it was all full of like weird stuff. It was all yellow, and this is going to be a little bit of a gross tale anyway, let me tell you that. So there's all this yellow goo all over the floor where he'd been vomiting. So that's worrying. And then I took him for his morning walk, which is his lovely country walk. He was by the river, he was doing all his stuff. And then he tried to go to the bathroom. It was like turning a tap on really fast and then turning it off quickly, if you get my idea. Yeah, he just went... It was just like that. I was like, dude, not cool. So we had to take him back to the vets again this morning. So 9 a.m. I'm sat in the vets. And he's looking really sorry for himself. He's like lay on the floor like this. And all the other dogs that came in were all sprightly. And God knows what was wrong with them. But there was a couple who brought a cat in that was to be put down. Oh man, that is so tragic. I mean, this guy was pretty big. And then you just see this guy like break down crying. It's really sad. That is like one of the most crushing things ever. So we took Ben in to see the vets, and we were like, yeah, well, he's been a little bit stressed out. He's been all that kind of stuff. So we kind of put it down to that. And he's like, well, he feels fine. His stomach's not sore. And then he rubbed his throat, and Ben starts going, and he's like, oh, well, his throat's a little bit tender. Perhaps he's eaten something he shouldn't have. And dogs eat things like stones and stuff. But he should have been able to digest it unless he's eaten something really stupid, like rat poison. And as soon as I heard that, I looked at Emma because I was like, God, she's going to believe 100% Ben has eaten rat poison. So I looked at her and she was like, oh! It was like if you go on WebMD because you've got a cold and it could be leprosy. I might have leprosy. Oh my God. It could be leprosy. My legs might start falling off at any moment. It could be the Black Death. It could be the plague. It could be. Or it might be a cold, but it could be the worst thing in the universe. So as soon as this guy, it was like slow-mo, he went, rah, boys. I was like, no, fuck me, don't say that. And Emma was instantly like, He's eaten a bowl of rat poison. He's eaten like a drum of rat poison. He must have. That is the only explanation. He's eaten a whole drum of rat poison. I was like, God, no. I was still under the belief that he was just a little bit off because he's been stressed out. I've seen him eat. I'd seen him eat on occasion, and Emma sort of was like, no, he hasn't eaten. But the doctor was like, well, he's pretty well hydrated. You say he hasn't drank for like 4 days? I'm like, I've seen him drink. And he's like, well, he's pretty well hydrated for a dog who hasn't drank for 4 days. So this sort of back and forth carried on with Emma, like, sort of implying that Ben was about to drop dead on the table, which he wasn't. He was kind of chilled. But there's definitely something wrong with him. So I still have this opinion. The doctor's like, well, give him this, which I'm sure is a placebo thing. Just give him this and then bring him back in the morning and we might have to x-ray. But I warn you, x-rays are really expensive. And so he was almost like, stop bringing your dog in when there's nothing wrong with him. But there is something wrong with him. So we get back in the car, we start driving back, and they've charged me twice. This is why vets don't help me, because there is something wrong with Ben. He doesn't throw up, and he hasn't been eating, so there is something wrong, but they don't know. Both times I've taken my dogs to the vets haven't told me anything. And the first occasion, they were wrong. And this time, they still can't tell me anything at all. They just kind of, they check his teeth, they go, oh, his teeth's really nice, and they rub his belly, and then they like take his temperature. He had a thermometer up his ass, which I had to like hold his head and was talking to him while this guy shoved something up his ass, and all I could think to say was, "This really sucks, Ben." I couldn't think of anything. I thought if this was Andy and something had happened to Andy and he had to have something shoved up his ass and I had to be the one to comfort him, what would I say? I'd just be like, "Dude, this sucks. This really fucking sucks." So I said that to Ben, and the guy started laughing. He's like, "It does suck, doesn't it?" So Ben's face like lights up as they shove this fucking thermometer in his ass. He says, "Well, his temperature's fine." I'm like, "Yeah, I guess so." Ben's just looking like, "Dude, what the fuck is going on, man? Why is this guy sticking something up my ass?" Worse than that, it's one of those doctors who is unable to speak at a reasonable pace. It's like Ross from Friends. Yeah, so it's like listening to things in slow motion. I hate slow motion. I want things to be nice and snappy and fast and give me facts. Don't take an hour to explain to me that the dog looks fine. I know he looks fine, but he's not fine. So he gave us some stuff. We get back in the car. Ben's in the back. He's got like a leash thing that ties him into the belt holders. And we're driving back and we're talking. We're me and Emma are talking. And then all you hear is, and I didn't really notice it because I was halfway through a conversation. I was telling one of my stories to Emma, which of course is so enthralling. How dare she interrupt me because the dog is barfing all over the back of the fucking car, right? And Emma has a pretty new car. It's a 61 plate, for anybody who knows what that means. A 61 plate Prius. It's like a fucking Nintendo Wii. It's so clean. Clean edges, sharp lines, so fresh inside. And then suddenly I goes, so I turn around. Oh my god. What I can only describe as if you put a full bowl of honey and mixed some hot water into it to make it a loose honey, but still gel-like, was covering the back of the car. It's one of those moments where I know there's only one solution to this, and it means I have to deal with it, because Emma won't. By proxy, she will not deal with it. There's a spider situation, she won't deal with it. I hate seeing this situation arise where only I can take care of it, because between A and B of me and Emma, only I can deal with it. And I know about this kind of stuff and how it wrecks cars, because my father told me a story of once he had a dog that was ill, and it vomited into the air vents of his car. And he could not get rid of the smell. Like every time they turned the air conditioning on, the whole car stunk. And it stunk for like 6 months until they had to sell the car. It was the only way they could deal with it. It was the most rancid smell ever. So I was really panicking that Emma's work car, because she uses it for work, is going to be fucking ruined from this situation. And so I was like, you need to get home right now. We need to clean this up. And she's like, well, I've got so much to do. I mean, I can't go any faster. I'm like, please go faster. We really need to sort this situation out. Or, as I know, I have to sort the situation out. So Emma, of course, volunteers to take Ben inside and sort his bed out and stuff. But yeah, clearly he's really ill, actually. And then I cleaned it up. Oh, man. I'm supposed to be doing monk stuff. I want to play a monk. I don't want to be cleaning this shit up out the back of the car. And it smells and it's disgusting. I've got so many sprays, I look like a perfume shop. I've got everything at my disposal. Tubs of fucking hot soapy water. The whole fucking deal, right? So I'm cleaning all this fucking shit up. and I'm doing my business, and I get it all out, and it smells okay. I got to it in time, and it was starting to soak in. I know if you ever like washed upholstery, like you put water on it, but it takes a while for that shit to soak in. So the bits that have been wet longer are much darker. So there was this noticeable patch where the shit had been, and I managed to clean it all out and get it sorted. And Ben has just been lay there like this all day, like so weak and feeble. He won't even eat chicken, so he's in a pretty bad way. I don't know what happens tomorrow. If he needs x-rays, I think that's like a lot of money, so that's a bit scary. So we hope that doesn't happen. So that was my morning, which then led me to the first of two topics for today's daily before tomorrow, where we get a little bit silly and we talk about drama stories and interesting crap that happens to you guys across the realms of Azeroth. I was playing monks today. I was doing all the monk guides. Now, one of the issues I had with this is that Ben was asleep in my room, but he was not asleep. He was just looking very sorry for himself, which is really depressing. So I was doing the monk videos and having to look at my dog. So I'm going to have to redo the gameplay. I was just like, and I'd be like really excited, like, oh, fucking renewing mist all over this motherfucker. Oh, man, like that. And then I'd be looking at him, and then I'd realise that like 10 seconds had passed, and then go back to doing it. It sucked balls, so I really need to fucking redo that. It's really hard to do something where an animal is looking at you right in the face. It's really hard to be enthusiastic about monks while your dog is potentially dying. So that's pretty cool. So let's talk about monks, first topic of today. They changed Windwalker, and I don't know what they did. Like, on beta, I gave Windwalker a really shitty review. I know I did that. I even rewatched the video to see what I said about Windwalker and the problems. And I can't work out, for the fucking life of me, what they've changed to make that spec so much more fun. And that is so weird. I cannot see the difference, but there is a difference there somewhere that has changed the Windwalker monk to not be like a bag of shit like they were on beta. On beta, they just fucking sucked. They was really annoying and frustrating to play. I didn't recommend them to anybody. And now I had so much fun on the Windwalker, and I demolished some DPS as well, which was really cool. Now the duration of Tiger Power, some suggestion there, is still pretty much the same. It still fell off in between packs in Heroics. Maybe they have increased it slightly. I'm not sure. It still needs increasing. I would like to see 5 more seconds put on Tiger Power for absolute sure. I mean, once you get to a certain level of gear, you're not going to bother needing to refresh it because it needs refreshing. Your mastery will kick in and do it. In most occasions, it does that now. It's that bit between pulls, right? That bit's just really shit, and still is shit about the Windwalker. It's just that setup period. You have to do your Rising Sun kick to get those debuffs on. You need 3 stacks of Tiger Power. Your Tiger's Eye Brew probably isn't at 10 by that stage, and then you want to start kicking in with like Zhu Wen, and you want to start popping some fucking cooldowns. You want to really kick some ass. And especially if your guild is one of these will Bloodlust 4 seconds into the pull because everyone's trinkets all the way up. That sucks balls for the Windwalker because you can't really get a 10 stack of Tiger's Eye Brew in that time. Pretty shitty. I don't like that aspect of it. The Tiger Power thing and the Tiger's Eye Brew, I would change Tiger's Eye Brew to just be something that is there and it has a cooldown. I think that just makes more sense, and instead of this stacking up effect. It's only derogatory towards the playstyle. It's just backwards. And Tiger Power is cool, but it doesn't fit properly. Like, the idea of ignoring 30% armor, we have 2 things that increase our damage. That's really annoying, passively. I mean, these are things that we have up all the time. We've got Rising Sun Kicks debuff and the Tiger Power buff. That's not nice. It's not nice. I don't like it. I would rather Tiger Power went towards Brewmasters, and Blackout Kick became more of a Windwalker ability. I mean, Blackout Kick still is the #1 chi dump, so to speak, of the Windwalker. But Tiger Power is just annoying. Or perhaps, yeah, if it had a cooldown on Tiger Power, maybe you can use it once every 15 seconds. And it fits into your rotation. That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. Something along those lines. This buff we have to maintain that has 3 stacks. It's just frustrating play. And then when it runs out in between trashing 5-mans, ugh, God, you've got that tank. You know the guy. You know that fucking tank. He's like killed a trash mob and then he surveys. He surveys his conquest. Like, I have defeated this trash now. Let us take it in. Everybody hold. Take a moment and breathe in what I have accomplished here today. And then let us move on into the next and wonderful trash segment of this dungeon. But there will be a gap. I mean, Tiger Power lasts, what, like 15 seconds? And it ran out a lot in between trash. It really did. That a whole section of Windwalker is annoying. But still, consistency, there is no other class that is as consistent as a Windwalker Monk at DPS. Like, no matter what the situation, Windwalkers are cool. Cool as shit. They are just always there, always providing. They remind me very much of a DK. They're just consistent. They're always there, and they're always doing their business. They're always laying down good, solid damage. You're not going to see crazy fucking burst to the levels of, say, like a Rep Paladin, and then your DPS drops off to fucking bog all. They're not going to do that. There is now, you've got this just, it's straight up damage all the time. I really fucking like that. I'm just seeing here. They change it in 5.1, so you only have to hit it once. So there's an improvement coming to Tiger Power. At least Blizzard knows there's an issue there, and there certainly fucking is. Tiger Power is just annoying. You're not going to get that crazy sort of like, if you were to do a graph, it would be like, oh, my DPS, low DPS, and certainly not this ramp up time. Even with the setup period of the Windwalker, your DPS is around about here, and then it will go up nicely, and it'll stay pretty consistent no matter what the situation. I'm actually falling more in love with the design of Fist of Fury, besides the fact that you have to stand still. That's kind of annoying, especially if you cast it on something and suddenly it dies. Some guy gets some like 200k fucking Chaos Bolt on it, and now you stood there like an idiot, Fist of Fury in the way. You're like, ah, where's the mob gone? Oh, fuck. And he's sort of spinning like a turret, just looking for something to DPS. You're like, come on, man, bring something in. But I like the way the damage split works. So even if people are using it as an AoE spell, probably incorrectly, it doesn't matter. They're still doing the same amount of damage out of it anyway, which is all freaking cool. So I was more than happy with the Windwalker. The only issues I'd say is the ramp up time kind of fucking sucks. And yeah, Tiger Power's getting changed, but I'd still just prefer Tiger Power to either be dropped or to maybe be a proc, like Colossus Smash. If it was more modelled on something like Colossus Smash, I'd be more than happy to see that as well. If it could, if your mastery was changed so you didn't have free blackout kicks, but it enabled Tiger Power, I would be more than happy with that. I'm sure they could balance the DPS based on that as well. And really good players could say, I've got a good solid chance of a mastery proc coming up. I'm going to save my next Fist of Fury for when I put the Tiger Power debuff on, or the Tiger Power buff, whichever it decides to be. I'd be more than happy to see some change like that. Brewmaster was actually disappointing in the Brewmaster. I kind of felt it was a lot like, I'm doing this with plates, spinning plates all the time. There is a lot to manage to be an effective Brewmaster. There is really a lot of just little micromanagement having to go on all the time. If it's not just your energy, I keep calling energy focus. I don't know why. I'm sort of overtaken by the the whole hunter thing. The energy chi management is pretty easy as a Brewmaster. It's not too difficult. You just got to make sure you can smash your keg smash whenever. But you've also got Elusive Brew, you've got Shuffle to keep in mind, you've got Guard procs to take into mind. You've got a lot of things going on there to play at a sort of consistent level. And then you've got Expel Harms to throw in, am I got full health or not? All this kind of stuff mixing in. It felt a lot like micromanagement instead of just having raw fun. And I didn't feel like Brewmaster Monks had some really niche, cool ability. Which is weird because they do, but they're not overly cool. I like cool things. Avengers Shield is cool. It's cool as shit. Avengers Shield is fucking awesome. Avengers Shield looks badass. It acts badass. It bounces people in the face. It's like boom, boom, boom. It's like fucking Dick Tracy. If you've never seen the Dick Tracy film, watch it. It's a lot like that. And then you've got Heroic Leap for warriors and fucking all this kind of shit going on. Blood DKs are just tearing ass. They don't need anything fun. They can just fucking destroy the world. And Feral Druids are a fucking bear. No fucking says giant ass fucking bear. I'm alright with that. But Monks, Brewmasters just felt a little bit like... I like the throwing the barrels. I love that. I think it looks cool. The sound effects is awesome. And sound effects really mean a lot to me, especially when I'm playing. I love good sound effects. And that feels really cool. Breath of Fire. I kind of get that Breath of Fire is like a joke about burning alcohol and stuff. But it's kind of okay. We're setting things on fire as the monk. Yeah, okay. I can kind of live with that. But it was just some really cool niche abilities, like Disrupting Shouts, or something mega like Dragon Roar. They've got Leg Sweep, but it doesn't do much. It doesn't do any damage, as far as I remember. It doesn't do any damage whatsoever. They've got all these sort of similar abilities that just aren't quite cool. That I go, wow, that is awesome. When I saw Disrupting Shout, I was like, dude, that is the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen. Execution Sentence, that looks awesome. That looks so fucking good, you know? Turning into the giant bear and mangling the fuck out of things, all the armor sprouts out of you, that is so fucking cool. Blood DKs, they just kick ass. Nothing more to say. But Brewmasters just lack that. I mean, I could say with the Blood DKs, you've got things like Gorfine's Grip or Gorfine's Grasp, and that is super fucking cool in itself. But Brewmasters just don't have that. They don't have that. In fact, their level 90 talents are shit. They're so bad. The level 90 talents for tanking suck fucking balls. I mean, Execution Sentence might be crappy for single target tanking, but shit, it looks good. That's all I need to say. Zuen. Zuen's kind of cool, but he taunts bosses, which is very frustrating. Zuen's like the best thing to take for raid bosses, but he also taunts lobby bosses as well, which means you just don't get any vengeance, and you just kind of become a DPS class for quite a while. And it's just like, you know, I just want something that's like cool. A lot of the talents for the monks is like, yeah, you can pick that, you can pick that, but you're not really making much of a fucking difference either way, which is, that was the only thing I was a little bit let down on the Brewmaster. Mistweavers, of course, are they like a 5-button class, the Mistweaver? Does anyone else feel like this who are playing Mistweavers? They're like a 5-button class, really, and you can get away with doing obscene amounts of healing with just those 5 buttons. I felt like once I was actually playing it, I was just like, okay, so I don't really need to do much of anything else than these 5 or so fucking buttons, and this will just carry. Oh shit! Shit's hit the fan. Revival. Oh, okay, no, I'm back to normal again. It was quite unfortunate that the monk I was playing didn't really have the gear level to do LFR and stuff, which is a little bit of a shame. I always like to do the healing videos in LFR, but I did a lot of 5-mans as the Mistweaver. I was trying to find something that was funky. I'm also thinking about intros, of course, while I shoot these videos. And I was thinking of what to do with the renewing with the Mistweaver. And I was kind of like, I did okay on the beta with that. I ended up in a situation that was retarded. I can't remember whether somebody was locked out or someone was just doing bad DPS. But I remember I ended up doing the last boss in Temple of the Jade Serpent for about 11 minutes or 13 minutes. And over the course, I just healed the shit out of it. It's something like 15 million healing or something crazy. And it was just, out of all the classes, I felt so bored by Mistweaver, which is a shame because Mistweaver fucking owns. I know it owns. I know it's just an absolutely immense healing spec. It's really boring. And yeah, it was just, you know, keeping, it's AoE damage. Well, Renewing Mist will jump around and do the job for me. Oh, well, you know, single target healing, Enveloping Mists will just kind of fly around and do whatever it wants to do. One annoying thing is I tried to, in one of my test dungeons, is the tank got locked out of the Stormstout Brewery. And that last boss can be a bit of a pain in the ass. So I started recording that. It was in my test dungeon. I was like, oh, I'll record this because this is like what happened to me on beta. So we're doing the last boss without a tank. It was shit. I didn't need to do fucking anything. The Renewing Mist just took care of everything. In fact, the tank was outside the door dying and my Jade statue thing was healing him. He was healing the guy outside. At one point, I actually moved my Jade statue to stop healing the tank, who wasn't helping out in the run. I was like, dude, stop stealing my Jade Serpent. I'm going to put it over here. And then ultimately he nearly died and I felt bad on him, so I moved it back to the door. This is what I was doing. I was that bored doing this fucking dungeon. And Ben's looking at me with puppy eyes at the same time. Is that I moved my statue back to the door so I could heal him by healing him through the door. Because I just didn't want him to die. I was like, oh, I can't let the guy die. And then I realized at some point, this is the kind of shit I was doing. We were doing the last boss, no tank, 3 average DPSs. I was just walking around and I was like, if I Renewing Mist myself near the door, will my Renewing Mist jump to the guy outside? So I'm like walking around the dungeon. And I go up to the door and Renewing Mist myself. Lo and behold, Renewing Mist the guy who's not even taking part. I was healing people who aren't even in the fucking fight. That's how easy Mistweaver is. I can heal you, motherfucking ass, if you're not even here. You're not even helping me. I'm still healing you. Why? Because I'm fucking OP as shit and all my heals are mad smart heals that just do whatever the fuck they want to do. Oh, you've taken damage? I'm all over it. You've taken damage? Oh, well, I'm all over it. And I'm just like, am I even playing the game? Am I really playing the game? Oh, some guys need healing. I'll just press Renewing Mist. It's like, oh, everyone's got heals. Oh, okay. Oh, this guy needs healing over here. My statue goes, you fucking idiot. That's what that statue feels like. It's like a dumbass check. It's like, oh, I need to heal this guy over here. So I like Soothing Mist that guy. And my statue's going, you're an idiot. This guy needs a heal over here, you fucking moron. Let me heal this dude over here. And if you could see the big green beam, you should be healing that guy over there. Are you listening to me? Look, stop healing. Let me take over. You're clearly bad at this game. You're clearly really bad. And then my statue just heals everything for me and I just go for a fucking tea cake and a break and have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up. That's what it felt like. Felt like I had Soothing Mist, Enveloping Mist, Renewing Mist, Uplift, and like something else. And that was like it, like 5 fucking heals. And that just did everything for me. That was it. I was done. I was more than happy to do that. I want to get into... I wanted to do an LFR, and maybe I could cheese it a little bit. I'll try it later. I'm going to be working quite late tonight. I'll try and get in using some tank gear and stuff. I think the item level of the Mistweaver I was playing was like 400. It was really bad. But that was plenty enough for the videos I wanted to shoot. If I can heal something in item level 400 monk, you guys will be fine, right? That's the basis of a lot of my videos. So I might try and cheese into an LFR, but I kind of get the feeling LFR is about keeping Renewing Mist on as many people as possible, and then spinning crane kicking the melee in the meantime to uplift them. That's about it. So I just think it's something along those lines. Maybe the monks in the fucking chat can back me up on this. Am I just going to be keeping Renewing Mist on like 20 people and being like a total badass on the healing meters? Like, oh yeah, check me out. I've got so many Renewing Mist goings on, it ain't even funny. Fucking sit the shit down while my Renew Mist takes care of everything. I mean, it doesn't heal for a great deal, but it's everywhere all the time, healing everybody. And oh, I'll uplift the shit out of it. Jab, jab, uplift is what I'm told. Jab, jab, uplift. There's a music video there somewhere, isn't it? We could do like Dance Dance Revolution, where it's jab, jab, uplift. Well done! Like something for the Nintendo Wii. Oh, jab, jab, uplift. Jab, jab, uplift. That's really sad. It makes me really sad to read that. Oh, man. You guys are funny. You guys are funny. Insane. Jab, jab, uplift. Quote of the day from Cicero. Jab, 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 uplift. It sounds like a Star Wars character. Watch out, Star Wars Episode 7. Jab, jab, uplift. It's going to kick some ass. Is insane in 25 mans. Sounds legit, right? Sounds absolutely legit. Okay. That's enough fun today. Let's get a little bit serious. A lot of you have been asking about the store and the different colours and shit that we've got on offer, and some people are like, I don't know what it looks like, so I kind of want it, but it might look crap. So we've ordered some. So just hold on if you're waiting for those multicoloured things. Especially, I think I've got the Alliance-themed cut one. I bought one to show you guys, because a lot of you were like, I want the Alliance one, but it might look crap. I'm okay with that, so I bought it for you, so don't worry. But I did get a cool screenshot today that's on the different PC of everybody's gear who's bought something from the store, all like being shipped out. It looks fucking well good. I'm so chuffed. It looks amazing. I hope you guys are really happy with it as well. Especially those of you who've got like really sarcastic names on the back of your hoodies. I don't know where you're going to wear that shit, but that's funny. Let's go on to the second topic of today, which is casual gamer advice. One of our long-time followers, I would say he's been following us since about 20 subscribers probably. What are we on now, like 21,000 almost? Crazy. Is Paulie PJ. Paulie PJ was an awesome gangster. He was the very first person as well ever covered in the workshop. I'm still looking for workshop videos, by the way. I'm going to a party on Saturday for my brother's birthday, which means I'll be getting my hair cut, so no more hat next week. Yay! But I want to do a workshop like the week after the next one, because it's web show after that, and then I'd like to do a workshop, but I haven't got any workshop submissions yet from Mr. Pandaria, so I'd like to see some Mr. Pandaria ones. I've got some old Cataclysm ones, but I want to see some Mr. Pandaria stuff. You guys will be more interested in that, so send that in for me. And also a big thank you to all the guys who have nominated themselves to be voice actors for Way of the Warrior 2. I'll be emailing you probably during the week sometime, next week. So Paulie is now a casual gamer. Kind of was a raider, was getting into raiding, but he's now a casual gamer. He's a lead singer in a band, a punk band. His music is available on our website, in the Bards Inn, where we all share our musical tastes and interests. Paulie puts his band Filtrum on there. Filtrum is the bit between your nose, right? I think. Nose and your lip. Is that your Filtrum? I think it is. I'm not sure. Just thought I would put, hey preacher, just thought I would throw a question your way, as it kinda relates to me, I guess. Games with mass content like World of Warcraft tend to be played by gamers with a dedicated amount of time on their hands to fully absorb the do's and don'ts and get the full picture of what is going on in the games, with continuous up-to-date resources to keep them at the top of their game. But I expect there are a large amount of casual gamers. Now this term gets thrown around a lot, I know, we'll discuss that shortly. That only spend 5 to 6 hours a week playing WoW, that love playing the game as much as the more hardcore gamers, but due to other commitments cannot dedicate the same amount of time to the game. I am one of these gamers. I am happy that I have found your channel, as the advice you have given me really helped my gaming, especially with regards to gaining DPS with my rogue. Phlegm, what a beautiful name. But with these casual gamers in mind, is there any advice that you can give, or maybe a guide that you can cover such topics to enable these gamers to feel as part of the game as the more dedicated gamers without feeling that we are missing out on the obvious or missing vital points of the game through accident, misunderstanding, etc. etc. If you was to strip the game down into its raw basics and simplify aspects to ensure such casual gamers are not missing out on vital parts of the game, or just suggestions to websites or media resources that can keep gamers like me more up to date so that we get online and we know the current situation and not feel like we are always on the back foot. This was an interesting question for me, which is why I picked it out of the questions. Questions are kind of slacked from you guys recently. Feel free to send them in. Casual gaming. What is it? What is casual gaming? Casual gaming is referred to by elitists as bad players. By casual gamers as people who just don't have the time to play. And by various other people, casual gaming means different things to everybody, okay? Nobody is agreed on what a casual gamer is. For me, a casual gamer is simply somebody who logs in whenever the hell he feels like and isn't committed to do anything when he's online. I don't think there's anything more to say than that. I don't think it matters if you play 10 hours a day. I think you're a casual gamer if you log in whenever the hell you please and you log out whenever the hell you please. That's it. You're not tied to do anything at all. It'd be nice to say that, oh, casual gamers are just bad players. That's not true. It's not true. In fact, a lot of casual gamers are very, very, very good players. The best players in the... I've always attested and always told you, the best players in the world are not the people in the top guilds. It takes more than that to be in the top guilds than just to be a good player. You also need the time to play. Not everybody can do that. So for me, a casual gamer means anybody who just logs in when he pleases and logs out when he pleases. And he's not really dedicated to anything while in game. So let's say, what do these guys take out of the game and what are they looking for? This is a really difficult question. A really difficult question. Especially now. In Cataclysm, you could quite easily be a casual gamer and achieve a lot. A hell of a lot. You could achieve even normal modes. You could join a pug, get most of normal, Dragon Soul or whatever done. Probably not Firelands. I'm sure there are some successful Firelands pugs. But not really a great deal compared to Dragon Soul. Dragon Soul is kind of noticeably easier than Firelands, especially towards the latter ends. And log out whenever they feel like. They just leave the raid. They're like, I'm done now, I'm going, I've got things to do. And this could be people who log in for a couple of hours, maybe only play on a Saturday, maybe only play when the kids are off playing football or soccer or doing something at the weekend and the missus leaves you the fuck alone. Like my Sunday, finally, Emma leaves me the fuck alone to do whatever I want, which is generally sleep. I'm not gonna lie, it's generally sleep. So what would I recommend to a casual gamer? I find this question really difficult. What would I recommend for a casual gamer to do? If I was being completely honest, I would recommend that a casual gamer plays all of the game from start to finish with different races, explores the world, and does all sorts of stuff. I would tell them to stay as far away from endgame as humanly possible and to ignore it completely. Endgame is a bit of a trap, and it's a good trap, okay? Endgame is a bit of a trap. Being tempted into the endgame means you will no longer be a casual gamer. If you are tempted into becoming a raider of some description or a PvPer with an arena team, you no longer become a casual gamer. You then become committed to somebody in the game. There are so many people who do not know some of the joys that lie in the massive world that is Azeroth. And as someone who has pretty much experienced all of it, it's taken me a long time to do that. You can do it much faster now if you set that as your goal. I think even casual gamers have a goal. Anybody who logs in and doesn't have a goal and is not committed to anybody is just generally wasting their time, I think. I don't know why you would play an MMO if that was your intention, to not have a goal or something you want to do. You fall into the category of the guys who log in and just sort of stand in Orgrimmar or stand in Stormwind, just like, I hope something really funny happens in trade chat soon. Something happened! Jump all over it. I don't get those guys. Those aren't casual gamers to me. Those are guys who have really nothing better to do with their time. And if you're one of those guys, rethink what you're doing. Rethink what you're doing when you do that. Because it's weird. It's weird. Now, would you do that in a supermarket? Would you just go and stand there? Or in the town centre and just stand there and hope somebody says something pretty interesting nearby so you can start commenting on it? If you've ever had a stranger come up and start speaking to you randomly, let me tell you, it's one of the weirdest experiences you'll ever have. It's weirder than someone trying to pick a fight with you because that guy's just an asshole, right? You'll have that occasion where someone just starts giving you shit, and you can either back down and run away, or you can just give him shit back, which is what we would do. As ballers, we don't really back down, do we? No, we don't. So a good example of this is when I was considering purchasing an iPhone. And my BlackBerry that I was using for work at the time was kind of letting me down. I'd also crushed the screen, so it had gone all green and shit. And I was kind of considering getting an iPhone because the car I had at the time had iPhone connectivity and my BlackBerry did not. I'm sorry, I've got something in my nose. It's driving me crazy. And I was stood in Asda, Walmart, whatever you want to call it, a large supermarket chain in their electronics section, and Emma was looking at clothes, which is the worst thing in the fucking universe if you're a man, is when you go shopping for food and suddenly she's like, oh, I just need to have a quick look at the clothes. You might as well just sacrifice your own life there and fall on your sword. It's the end of time. And I was stood in the electronics section, and they don't have any phones on display. They have these plexiglass cards that have a picture of the phone on it and some of the features. And so I just motioned my hand towards the iPhone thing, and then I realized before I got to the plexiglass card that it was not an iPhone. It was an iPod that looks like an iPhone. I forget the name of it, but there's an Apple iPod that looks exactly like an iPhone but doesn't make phone calls. It like connects to the internet and all sorts of shit. It's like an iPod Touch maybe or some shit. And I just motioned my hand towards it because the image looked like an iPhone. And before I got there, some fucking asshole opened his mouth. And it really gets my back up. It really does. It's strangers giving you their fucking opinion. And this guy must have been camping. So he's a spawn camper. That's what this guy is. He's a fucking spawn camper in your FPS game. He's camping the electronics section for people who are interested in Apple products. So I'm like this. And he goes, I wouldn't buy an iPhone. I'm like, whoa. What the shit just happened? And I'm kind of a big guy. I'm like 6'2", you know. I'm not super slim. I'm definitely not something anybody would call wiry. And I turn around, and it is this tiny fucking guy with his Cosby sweater and his khaki pants and his brown shirt that's perfectly ironed without a crumb on it, and his little shirt and tie, and his lack of fucking facial hair, and his lack of testicles, and he's speaking to me about an iPhone that isn't even on display. Motherfucker, shut up. So I turn to this guy, and I look at him, and I'm instantly unimpressed. I'm like, what? So out of interest, I'm like, I haven't lost my shit or anything. I'm not impolite. So I went, excuse me? Like, he's like, I wouldn't buy anything from Apple. I'm like, oh, right. And just turned my back. I'm like, that's the last I want to hear, because this guy has some grievance against Apple that on my care meter is so far away from my care meter that it's literally in China. Like, the care I have for what this guy is about to rant about Apple is so far away. It is just, it's gone. It's fucking historical. This shit is way, way back. I'm old school. Like, I kind of want to turn around and say, you know, I live on the internet pretty much. I can research this shit myself, you know. I know the problems with Apple and the pros and cons. But I don't want to pretend to know anything. I don't want to be that guy who, like, throws knowledge in people's faces like this guy. That's what this guy is. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. So I say, oh, right. And turn my back, and he goes, yeah. And you're like, oh my God. And you're already, where's my shotgun? Where is my shotgun? So, and he's like, oh, don't be so desperate for a conversation, man. It's really sad. Don't do that. And he's going, yeah, you do know that Apple's marketing campaigns, and he just breaks into this fucking conversation. And you want to get away, but you kind of like, how long do I leave this going before I say, shut up and walk away? Or just walk away. I say, okay, I've got to leave now, in the politest possible way. So I turn, and I'm in the position where I have no place else to go. I either decide to stay here in the electronics section, which is my home. This is my mecca. I am surrounded by toys and games and cool shit. This is my life. I do this as a job. I love this shit, okay? I want to look at the different grades of fucking monitor cables because I give a shit about that stuff, right? I want to look at that. I actually still want to continue to look at the Apple products on this fucking shelf. But I know now I cannot stay here without having to tell you to leave, which is a really weird thing to be doing inside a store. So what the fuck do? I now have the choice to either leave and go and look at mushrooms and cheese and other fucking food products, or I go and look at dresses and shit, which is why I came here in the first place, to get away from that. You have literally ruined my experience by opening your fucking mouth, and nobody asked you to do it. Please be quiet. So, I know it feels exaggerated, but this is the kind of shit that really annoys me. I tell and try and educate people about World of Warcraft. Do you think I camp the fucking store, and when I see someone reach for a World of Warcraft box, I go, I might preach WoW. Let's have a conversation. What are you thinking of rolling? And this guy's like, what the fuck? I don't know. I just heard about this game. He's like, oh, let me tell you all about it. So you might want to start with something like a druid, for instance, because they can play 4 specs. And this guy would be like, what the fuck? Get the cross. He'd be like throwing holy water on me or some shit. He'd be like, get the fuck away from me, you weirdo. I'm like crowding his space. I'm like, no, let's talk about World of Warcraft. You're interested, right? You went for the box. Talk to me. I've been dying all day to talk to somebody about World of Warcraft. Can you stay? Can you be my friend? Can we do this? Maybe we can go for dinner together. Come on, I'll get you a coffee. No way. I do not do that. And I just dislike people trying to do it. So he's continuing his sort of rant about Apple. And then he's like pro-BlackBerry, right? And he pulls out his BlackBerry fucking 9 million or whatever. You know, it's like made of liquid metal and shit. It's totally from Terminator. And he's like, oh, look, I can... And he starts showing me his apps on his BlackBerry. And so I say, like a fucking boss. And to this day, I think it's the best line ever that got this conversation to stop. Because while he was talking, it gave me time to think. And giving somebody time to think is really dangerous. Like in a fight situation, conversation is a really bad thing. Because it gives people time to think about what they're going to do next, okay? And you don't want that. So I say, can you get iTunes on that? And I look at him like completely blankly. And he looks at me like I'm a fucking moron. He's like, what? Can you get iTunes on it? And I'm just, you know, the head tilt, jaw open, kind of. Can you get iTunes on that? Can you? And he just looks at me like, and he doesn't know where to go from that. And he goes, well, no, because it's not Apple. I was like, oh, I've got loads of songs on iTunes, so I kind of need to get an iPhone. And he goes, well, you're kind of stuck there, aren't you? I went, yeah. And just turned my back on him. Owned 1-0. Motherfucker. So, pretend to be a moron can get you out of so much shit. Seriously. People don't want to deal with a moron. They really don't. Like, everything to the contrary says that this guy should know that you can't get iTunes on a BlackBerry, but dropping that fucking A-bomb right on his face, situation dealt with. Nobody wants to talk to a moron, especially not somebody in a Cosby sweater and brown shoes. He doesn't want to talk to it. Look how long he spent getting his tie straight. He doesn't want to talk to a moron. I'm like, can you get iTunes on that? Can you get iTunes? Has it got an app store? Oh, they've got an app store. You know, something like that. And he was like, he's totally lost. Totally lost. I'm like, oh, I've got a load of songs on iTunes. Bummer me, right? I'll have to go with shitty Apple. Yeah, so I turned around and carried on looking at my stuff. She's fucking awesome. Don't deal with those people. Cool. Final thing I want to finish on. Yeah, we're in good time. I've got to go to the gym shortly, and then I've got to see to Ben. Is I want to draw your attention to quite possibly the best post on the WoW forum I've read in ages. I will link it after I tell you the story. Because I'm that guy. That's the guy. I've totally closed the page. God damn. Oh, I found it again. Yeah, back. Going back pages for the win. This is a post that I read today, because sometimes I like checking the WoW forums. Especially I was looking for some Heart of Fire knowledge. And I was also just seeing what people are having problems with at the moment, right? I realised I just totally didn't answer the question, did I? How did I get into that rant about Apple? Getting back to this before we finish on this post is what would I recommend to casual gamers? I don't know how we ended up at Apple from there, but whatever. Is I would recommend you forget about endgame entirely. I don't know, oh, full circle or what? I'm like Billy Connolly and shit now. So you don't want to do the endgame. Raiding and stuff means you're committed. End of story. What you want to do is actually go and explore the world. Do things like Lore Master. You can do them in your own time, no problem. And I tell you what, you'll have a shitload of fun. I know people who still haven't been to the New Thousand Needles and done those quests with the boat So good. You should go and do that stuff. It's really funny. Or do the new Ashara. Pretty much every quest they revamped has some sort of fun little thing going on. Be it rocket launchers, jetpacks, shooting cannons off fucking buildings and dealing with giants and all sorts of crazy stuff. I would totally do that. If you're a casual gamer, to get the most out of this game, avoid endgame. Which sounds contradictory, I know. But if you get stuck in a loop of doing things like LFR and a couple of BGs, you will bore yourself to fucking death and you'll experience about 2% of this game. Seriously, go back, explore the world. Find out, do the things like, I'm sure it's still in game, do things like the Onyxia quest chain. Those things are really cool and you can solo them now. And you can also go and get things like Swift Timbermore stuff. Find out about all the old Reputation stuff that's out there. It's pretty good. And it's all quiet and stuff now. Do things like the fishing derbies. So many people ignore the fishing derbies. I tell you what, when you catch that big fish and your name is read out across the realm, it's awesome. It's so good. I think the Wrath of the Lich King one, which gets you a 5% experience ring, by the way. The Kalawak fishing derby on a Saturday. Did you know this takes place every Saturday at 2 PM? There's a fishing tournament across all of Wrath of the Lich King, across all of Northrend. You can do a fishing tournament and you get a huge prize, a 5% heirloom XP ring you can give to any of your characters. It's really cool. You should go and do that stuff. That's what I would recommend to casual gamers, is go and explore the game. And if you've done all that, there ain't that much else to do besides LFR and stuff. So if you're a casual gamer, eventually you are going to run out of content that's relevant. I would think that by then you should make some friends and log in to play with friends. What you're going to do, I can't really tell you right now. 5-mans are pretty much dead as dead. I had to wait in queue as a healer for 10 minutes. What the fuck is that about? Yeah, the 5-mans are a bit dead at the moment. We're going to see the sales call tomorrow, I believe, so we'll talk about that tomorrow as well as the drama stories. This post I want to get to. A quick drink. My fucking mouth is dry as a bone. This post was made by a warlock. I like... sometimes the WoW forums kick up something fucking amazing. And the title of this post was Got Kicked. So I like, because I'm a bit of a malicious git, one of the things I used to love on WoWbash, when WoWbash was popular, wowbash.com, was people who just said things that just got them absolutely screwed up. Further to that, the extension of that to make it even better for me is when people post things on an open forum that are really stupid and then use alts to sort of defend themselves, right? And now you can work out who a person's alts are on the WoW forums, which was to stop all the people making level 1 alts to troll people with. What people used to do was post something on the WoW forums and then log their alt that might be on a different realm or something and then reply to it, like totally agreeing. And all this kind of shit, like, dude, it's like, oh my god, I did this and got kicked. And then he would relog his alt and be like, oh my god, you did? That's ridiculous. That guy's a massive retard. And then log his main again and go, I know. But now you can catch people out doing that because you can totally check out and find out who people's alts are, which is fabulous. But this guy's aware of that. This isn't the faux pas this guy made. This guy created a story. But in this story, there were problems. To which he then logs an alt to try and rescue the situation. You know when someone just digs themselves a hole and the only way out is to dig deeper? Digging deeper is amazing. I love it when people dig deeper. We have a friend, he's more my friend, I don't think Andy's met him, who is that friend who no matter what you've done in your life, he's done better and bigger than you have. But they lie about it, obviously. Like, not everybody has experienced the same things and done it better. Like, I've been on the indoor skydiving thing. I did that as a kid. He's been legit skydiving like 20 times, right? Your story is so boring and so mundane. And you're like, oh, okay, then of course you have. And then one of the other things I did as a child is I paraglided off the back of a boat with my mother when I was very young. And we saw a giant sea turtle. It was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. Is we were floating way, way up. I think we were about 100 feet up, maybe less. And there was a giant sea turtle that even at that height was clear as fucking day. It was so big. That was swimming through the ocean. And my mother, she would hate me telling you this because she's quite a proud lady, was swearing her fucking ass off. She only got on this thing because I insisted that we try it out because I like that kind of stuff. And she was swearing like I had never heard her swear before. I think I was probably about 7 or 8 at the time, maybe slightly older. I know I wasn't old enough to go on my own. And she's swearing so much down my ear that I couldn't stop laughing. And then we saw this giant sea turtle. And she instantly was quiet and she was like, wow. Because it was just one of those moments. It's like, that is earth porn. That is earth porn right there. That is like amazing. That is the best thing ever. And I was telling the story while this guy was there. And he said, oh, I've done that, but we saw a flock of sea turtles or whatever. Giant sea turtles. We did it off the coast of fucking Mali or something, and we saw them all migrating back to the shore. It was like protected waters, but we knew a guy. You know, the story just gets so outlandish so quickly that you just can't help but sort of live it on. Hey, mate. You're right. Oh, I don't like it when you put your... I'm so sorry for himself. It's retarded. This guy. Aw. Look how sorry he is. Got no life in you, have you? But I hate when he puts his ears back. His ears back when he knows he's in bad shape. Oh, he just flopped at my feet. Dude, really? It's so sad, Ben. That's so fucking tragic. He's so ill. Oh, mate, we get you fixed up tomorrow, don't you worry. So we had a guy like this, and the best thing you could do with those kind of guys is literally just keep asking them, and then what happened? And oh, did you really? And he was a big fan of boxing, so he claimed that he had boxed with all the champions, like Chris Eubank, Lennox Lewis. He'd done some sparring with them and stuff. He's like, oh yeah, Eubank, yeah, me and him used to have a good go, and then we'd go for a beer. You know that never happened. There's no fucking way that ever happened. He's like, oh, me and Lennox, yeah, you know, I mean, I've got a glove signed by Lennox, but he signed it for me, you know, as a mate. Like, he did about 8 for me so I could pass him out, but I've got one that's got like his penis smeared across it or some crazy shit like that. And then you go, and then what? And what else did you do with Lennox? Do you know Lennox Lewis? And then what else did you do? Oh, Frank Bruno? Yeah. Mike Tyson? Oh, yeah. Well, we were all there. I assume they were all together. He's like, yeah, we were at a party with Mike Tyson, the Queen, Morpheus from The Matrix, and Mickey Mouse. And we were all there, and we were all having a drink. And you're like, oh, really? Then what happened? Oh, yeah. We were all together. It was a great party, great time. And you keep egging these people on. Well, this Warlock is one of those people. So the title was Got Kicked. Okay, so he got kicked for being a Warlock and kneading on a spirit ring over the healer, and the other guys kicked him for it, right? All seen it before. Now, I'm not going to be the arse who says you should never roll on spirit gear. Quite frankly, the way the system is right now, as douchey as it is, going from a really shitty green to something like a really a heroic level blue ring, even with spirit, is probably a huge upgrade. Simple as. And the way the 5-man system is, as we discussed it, the anonymity and the problems it creates, I am of the opinion, I've changed my mind, I just don't give a fuck anymore. If it's a legit upgrade for me, I'm taking it. I'm having a roll on it. I don't care. I've been ninjaed too many times, and that sounds like an excuse, and it's like, you should fight the good fight. You're never going to win, ever, because somebody will take something you want badly. So he's like, it's not fair, you know, it was an upgrade and that kind of stuff. And I can kind of see where he was coming from. Anyway, the instant replies, as you expect on the WoW forum, were a lot of healers saying, no, you're a massive asshole, or maybe Boomkins and Ellie Shaman saying, no, we need that. You don't get any benefit from Spirit whatsoever. His defense, of course, is that, well, as some respects, Spirit helps me because I have to life tap less. Thumbs up to you, buddy. So you can instantly start to sense some fails going on. Anyway, the story then develops. This is where it gets good. He started saying that he had empty slots of gear. And I don't mean that they were green or even grey. He had nothing in those slots. So which people picked up on that in one of his replies. They were like, why did you have empty slots? He was of the opinion that he was making a new set of gear to try something. Now, how many things can you try as a Warlock? Not a great deal. Warlock tanking, kind of, okay? Other than that, it's a case of reforging at worst, right? There isn't that much you can do. But he didn't think it was plausible to use some of his old gear in order to create the new set of gear for what he was trying. Therefore, he made an entirely new set where he was essentially naked, but he managed to pick up some drops, but he was still missing a few item slots. What he was essentially saying is that he had a full set of gear, but had removed it in order to collect a new set of gear to do something else with. Yeah. So, the story continues this way. And he then goes on to be very defensive, as most people do, make stupid posts. He's like, I wasn't here, and you guys are all fucking retarded because you don't believe me. He then replies, sort of backing himself up with his own ult. which is really funny. He's like, oh, I think this guy's correct. Every other post in this thread is bashing this guy because he's just come out that he's wearing blank sets of gear, so he just has no rings equipped or no legs or whatever. And people are saying, yeah, you're just getting carried through this dungeon. This is where it gets even better. He then logs his ult. This is the best part about it. He then logs his ult and tells people by accident that he fabricated the whole story and it didn't really happen. It's brilliant. It's sheer genius. He logs an alt to go, I kind of think he probably wasn't English, and he's trying to express that, this doesn't sound true, and then let it be done with. But what he actually says is, I fabricated part of this story, and then, but from his alt, it's so fucking good. It's like the whole story is just bullshit. So he decided, he's an attention seeker, who decided that he would make this post. He replies so many times. It's fucking brilliant. Like, it's like one reply, 4 from him. Really funny. Trying to defend himself, trying to get himself out of the hole, and then his alt comes into it, and people are... There's so many white knights. This is what I love about the WoW forums, why we close on, is there are people there who genuinely really want to help. Who genuinely really want to help, like, solve people's problems. And that is awesome. They're out there, and they're at work, or they're doing whatever. They're mostly at work. I used to do this. This was probably the beginnings of my channel. Is I actually just used to browse the WoW forums at work, and if I saw something I thought I could help with, I would post a reply and like try and help people. But often I wrote things that were sort of like my videos, which are kind of like lengthy and, you know, a bit wordy. And people on the WoW forums generally don't want that kind of answer. They're just like, what should I use, this or this? And I would say something kind of like in-depth to try and explain why you would do it. And they were like, so do I use this or this? And I was like, oh, okay. So I kind of gave up on that methodology of doing things and preferred to show people how to do it. Ben, you're going to make me cry, man. Seriously, what the fuck are you doing? So I've done this, and there are people out there who are at work who know stuff about the game, and they're genuinely trying to help, no matter how retarded the post sounds. Like, got kicked is like something I would be interested in. I actually used to spend a lot of time browsing for posts where people got injured and they have like screenshots and shit of their rage. So good. That would make up a lot of my days at work. But a lot of stuff on the WoW forums is obviously nerf, and now it's too easy kind of posts. But stuff like that pops up every now and again, and it's fucking brilliant. So good. So I recommend you read that. I will try and remember to put it in the YouTube description below. Alright guys, I'm done for today. That's another 1 hour daily. Really sorry. But I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I'm going to look after Ben and then go to the gym. And then maybe, there may or may not be a video out tonight. Purely based on whether or not I want to spend more time with Ben. I'm sure you understand. Ben, you're so fucking tragic, mate. Seriously. Alright guys, have a great evening. And I will see you tomorrow for Friday Drama Day. Friday Drama Day tomorrow. We'll get a little bit silly tomorrow. Alright guys, see you later. Okay, I don't usually do this, but you have asked. Ooh, this is really hard on a tripod. Oh, that's my crotch. Look at this little guy. Look at him. He's never done this in his whole fucking life. He's never done this ever. He's just... How many times have you seen me had to stop the daily because he comes in and chews my desk, or he fucking... he's just barking or doing something crazy. He's so poorly. Alright, mate. You're not even moving, are you, bud? Ben. Hello. Say hello. Hmm? You're not feeling good, pal? Oh. He wants me to rub his belly. Ah. Belly rubs always make a dog feel better, don't they? Every old dog loves a good belly rub. Okay. Oh, I've wrecked my tripod now. Okay, guys. See you later.